What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the 91st edition of the Tuesday Track Talk podcast featuring your Three Stones pit crew. I'm your gas man, Cam.
I'm your Jackman, Kel.
I'm your tire changer Cam.
And we got another fitting episode here, episode number 91. 91 for Ty Majeski, rolling into the Slinger Nationals coming up this week on Tuesday, July, is it 8th? 8th.
Yep.
So, episode number 91 for Ty Majeski in the 91. Going to be tough to beat, and we will be talking a good chunk of the episode on the Slinger Nationals. But before we do, we will touch on just a kind of wild weekend in the dirt scene with late models, touch a little bit on the NASCAR Cup Series back racing around the streets of Chicago, and then also talking about the BC 39 event this past weekend. But before we hop into all the racing talking that we have to do, just do a quick check-in. How we doing, boys?
Good. I've got a pack for the week ahead of me yet. I'm on vacation. So I got a pack yet.
Makes two of us.
Saw a baseball game. Was it Wednesday night? Thursday night. Saw a baseball game. Was hoping to go racing Saturday, but we got rained out pretty much up here everywhere we went. But I did get to take in the World Outlaws at Deer Creek on Friday night. So
Nice. Yeah. No, just getting ready for Tuesday. So excited for the Nationals. That's always a fun one. So the war bag's ready to go. So all I gotta do is show up.
Yeah, we got some interesting storylines that we're going to talk about here coming up later in the episode. Just in that whole event, the entry list, pick and race winners. It's a big one for us, right in the great state of Wisconsin. So let's just jump right in and let's get rocking and rolling here. So first thing we were going to talk about, I mentioned it a little bit of a chaotic weekend with the dirt late models and just some racing, some not racing related. Well, I guess it's all racing related, but let's start with lap number 1 at Deer Creek on Friday night. Nick Hoffman. And we got a diehard Nick Hoffman fan here, so got a feeling I know what he's gonna say, but not too often do you say the big one in dirt late model racing, and we had the big one on lap 1. So we had boots on the ground there with our tire changer. What'd you see?
I just Bruning was running on, I don't know, 2 lanes off the wall super early on. What we got to remember too is that somebody blew their motor on lap 1 or lap 2.
Simpson. Yeah, Simpson.
Simpson blew his motor, which to that point, Pierce had already went from 6th to 3rd.
Yeah.
So let's point that out because I think you, Cam, shared a point about the old Bobby Pierce effect.
Yeah.
And Hoffman mentioned it in his interview and later on. But so obviously Hoffman 3rd place very early on the race after dominating the night before. Huge deal. But yeah, Bruning was a couple lanes off the top. Hoffman just he was there, had the opportunity to win for that slider, and that's a wide track to start with, so that slider can go a long ways.
Yeah.
It's almost more straight up than it is really kind of going through the corner.
Yeah.
And ultimately just, whether he chopped Bruning off at the nose or, Bruning tried to cut under him and just lost it, tapping the brakes or whatever the case it was. But the result was Bruning ended up spinning in front of the entire field. And yeah, everybody just piled in. Pierce ends up on his lid with McCready under him and just this, that, and the other.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I think about it is and it's well said when you say it's the Pierce effect. Like when you're within reason, still within striking distance in a championship points battle, when he's breathing down your neck and he's coming, if you see a small window, you got to stick your foot in it. Like, you know, you don't want to wreck. You don't want to wreck half a dozen cars or 10 or 12 or it was like a gajillion cars is what it felt like. But like at the end of the day, like if he wanted to control the pace of the race, he was going to have to do that to try to get by Bruning, knowing in the course of one scored lap, Pierce had already made his way past half of the cars between you and him. Like, you don't want to see it. Now, maybe Bruning didn't expect him to be down there that early. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. You hate to see that happen. The other part about it I like to think about too is the fact that like Hoffman's not notoriously known for this.
Yep.
So that's the other part of it. Like if he'd be doing this every other weekend, you'd be going, what on Christ's earth are you doing? Like that's a different conversation. But like it's very uncharacteristic of Nick Hoffman to try to wreck half the field to win a race. Like, and he said it, you hate to win them like this. You'd probably rather run second than do this. But like at the end of the day, he was screaming coming from sixth already. So you don't want to say it was desperate already, but the urgency was so high to just be able to control the race.
Because you know there's that opportunity of Pierce of taking both of them and then just him taking off from there, and you're not going to be able to catch him.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think let's just back up here. You're talking about Bobby Pierce and all that, but let's not dismiss the fact that this is his livelihood. Like Bobby Pierce aside, like he's got one job and it's to park that thing in victory lane. And your car's going to handle a lot better in clean air than it is riding around behind somebody. And so, like you said, when you got the World Outlaws late models is a tough field. And if you got a chance to get out front and lead laps, you either take it or somebody else is going to take it right in front of you. And he did it. And I will say one thing, from his post and the videos, people can argue back and forth, fair or foul on the slider, but I mean, did he make contact? Yeah, but it wasn't like it was his right rear quarter panel, they're so flimsy and they bend so much, like it just bent in and he just like kept going. Like it wasn't like it was wheel to wheel and like totally, it was the right rear just a little caved in and away he went. And like that's you see that every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night at a dirt track.
Yeah.
Like, and to his point, obviously he's going to get on there and defend himself. Like you said, Cam, like I know he maybe couldn't see him, but I know he could hear him. And Bruning didn't need to, it's lap one. Bruning could have easily, it almost felt like Bruning was like trying to pinch him. Like,
yeah.
It's like he's got two lanes up there. Like, just drive it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like
a
Bruning
little bit of both.
And some of those screenshots, like Bruning, it looks like he was like he doesn't. It looks like he was in a blender.
Well, and it's like, first off, there was a lot of junk cars, and actually they piled up right in front of me. So I mean, it was just insane to start off with. But we didn't hear from Bruning as far as what his point was on the incident at all. At least I never saw anything. Hoffman obviously wasn't. He was disappointed in how it played out, and he didn't do when he went to victory lane. He didn't do his normal, climb on top of the car and smash NOS cans or anything like that. He just kind of got out, waved to the crowd, and went out front for his interview. So you could even tell right out of the gate, like, he's not proud of how it ended up happening and how it went down.
Right.
I don't know. I guess if you ask the question, I feel like fair or foul.
If you're gonna put me on the spot, I'm gonna say fair.
I'm gonna say fair, and to a certain degree, like, yeah, did Hoffman chop him a little tight? Yes, but Bruning also didn't help the situation either.
Especially, and you almost got it. And given you didn't know we weren't going to be racing on Saturday night, too, so you had to think of points in that particular format where Bruning was already sitting pretty good points wise to make it into the main event on Saturday night. And so was Pierce, and probably so was Hoffman. So could the intensity be ramped down a little bit? Maybe, but especially when Hoffman and Pierce are like Kellen was saying, in the midst of a championship battle, every race counts at that point. And with Pierce going out and Hoffman winning, that was a 40-point swing.
Yep. He closed the gap across the weekend by 28 points.
Yep.
I guess I'm going to say fair because I feel like it was, like it wasn't wheel to wheel. His right rear tire didn't like hit his front end and totally change the trajectory of his line and affect his hand. Obviously, the air affected his handling, but like I said, that right rear quarter panel just like bent in off of Bruning's nose, and Hoffman just kept going. Like I don't know. I just watch that and it's like, how many times have we seen Bobby Pierce and Ricky Thornton and some of those guys? I mean, like I feel like that was just, I don't know. I feel like it's blown up a little bit because it was on lap one.
Yep.
But I feel like we're going to see the same thing next weekend. And part of it, like you said, is, and part of it, like I said, is obviously, well, it was lap one and Bruning lost it. But like you said, part of that's on Bruning. Like, hey, you're racing the best in the world for a reason. Like, that wasn't anything that should have caused that. So,
yeah.
Anyways, let's move on from Nick Hoffman. We just spent enough time debating that. Sounds like we're unanimously saying it was fair. Let's go to Hunt Front Super Dirt Series at Sonoya. First, we didn't Snowed isn't on here, but scary deal early in the night there with a car that ended up jumping the wall and running the fence and injuring some spectators. And honestly, that's one of the wildest racing videos I've ever seen, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If that doesn't emphasize the point of don't stand at the fence.
Couple things with that. Don't stand at the fence. And if you're going to stand, even take the photographers, for example, if you're going to be at the fence, never turn your back on a live racetrack.
Yep.
Not that you might have ever had a chance to get yourself out of the way, but at least you have the 3 seconds to at least somewhat get yourself in the fetal position to somewhat protect yourself. Like, never turn your back on a live racetrack.
And did he hit the chute coming onto the track?
No, he came back onto the track before that.
Yeah.
Because there was a buddy standing there in a bright orange shirt, and he was just like, watch his life flash before his eyes, but he was just like walking around there, and I'm like, holy smokes. But yeah, like you said, that was one of the wild and scariest things I've ever seen. Thankfully, some minor injuries from what was reported. 3 of them, from obviously what we read, everybody is okay. So yeah, that was at the early on in the night, but then it was the Independence Day spectacular down there, and we had some fireworks going on in the show, and then not only that, but we got finished up a race, and we had some fireworks after a race with Corey Hedgecock, and
Michael Page, yeah.
Michael Page were a little post race festivities.
Yeah, you'll see Hunt the Front, and they haven't come out with anything yet. They will come out with a statement, and it'll be something along the lines of, one, the driver is responsible for his crew, because there was a large amount of crew members involved from both parties.
Yep.
So not only drivers responsible for his crews, you're going to have some type of statement along the lines of actions detrimental to short track racing. A lot of times those penalties, fines, suspensions, whatever will come of this are going to come as a statement of a detriment of either the series or the sport. So
Um,
that yeah, that was quite the event. You get cars parked
And
on top of one another, and those two got out, and you could see they were frustrated. And the next thing you know, it was like you whacked the beehive, and there was a 40 people there right there, and it's like, holy man. So
and Hedgecock, from what I think I read on his post, said like he kind of did it to himself. Obviously, he's responsible for his actions, but like he's come out and said like he will not say a bad thing about Pollard, the way the situation was handled, the Hunt Front Super Dirt Series. He accepts what's coming to him. Like he
yep,
said, for what happened, like it was handled, in a professional manner. Didn't say he didn't get arrested, but he got put in cuffs. um,
yep, and Bubba's his boy now.
and Bubba's his boy, and he did say he'll take his lickings,
Yep.
but he can't take the 10-on-1. So yeah, that's and I think
Well,
this is go ahead.
and the other part of this is Hunt the Front is going to have to set a precedent on this. This is the first time that they're dealing with things like this. They've had a few other like very minor things that they've had to address, but this is the first larger scale. We've got entire crews involved. Track officials are in the middle of it. Safety crews are in the middle of this. Like, I I just wouldn't be surprised if they kind of drop the hammer on these two guys a little bit, because this is the first big one that if you're going to come race with us, we're not going to stand for it, and don't come back if you're going to do this.
and that's like watching the video. I didn't see who slid who. But that was a bad slider. Is pretty much what it stemmed from. Now,
Yeah,
was there an altercation beforehand that maybe led to it? Who knows? Don't know. But the other thing too is that you saw the track official. I mean, bright neon green shirt, get out of the
yeah,
work truck and go on the wall and tell all the crew guys to get off the wall and stay in
yeah,
the infield
yeah.
because there's still cars on track
Correct,
at that.
correct.
And so not only you're essentially you're on a hot track
Yep,
and you're denying and you're going against a track official's ruling.
yep,
So I mean, you got so many things going on there, and again, it never gets good when crews are fighting drivers, like Hedgecock was saying, 10-on-1,
yep,
especially when them two are already going at it.
yep.
It's
Yeah, I
just,
haven't seen anything from Paige's side or point of view yet, so I don't
and
know.
I can
But
imagine there will be. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some suspensions,
yep, monetary penalties.
monetary penalties. This is kind of like the Wilson tire cutting and from what
Yeah,
last year.
yeah, with the
Yeah.
Stars tour at Winchester, or 2 years ago,
Oh,
Winchester.
sorry.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
just people are gonna get suspended. Obviously, I'm sure the drivers will be on probation the rest of the year. Um, a number of crew members. Essentially, what they're trying to figure out is who was all involved and what extremes they were involved in.
yep.
Yeah. So that
And the
was a
best part
wild.
is they own the streaming service, so reviewing footage will be very easy.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Be interesting to see what comes out of that. And then this is where Hunt Front's got a big following the way it is, and their series is um, doing a decent job. And this is part of racing that gets you in the news for the wrong reasons, but um, every series at every level deals with it. So um, just sometimes something we have to got to work through. But um, and then lastly, here on the dirt late model scene here came out a little bit late Saturday night. Superman Jonathan Davenport had a runner-up finish, swiped away from him after he failed the old droop rule. So
yeah, it was kind of interesting because it was he actually the droop height with the deck passed. The chain was not secured. So
Mm. And because of that, the chain was not secured tightly. It was warranted as a droop infraction.
correct. Yep, they discovered it within checking the deck height in the droop.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
very
Well,
yeah,
uncharacteristic. That's a one-off. The 49 is
and I read the article too, and JD even said that first part of the race ran really good, but then whatever happened to that chain happened, and he said that car handled a lot differently even afterwards.
they dominated the first 3 quarters of that race. So
yeah,
Kind of
yeah. Just
uncharacteristic, kind of like the Brad Sweet one too, where he just missed the scales and got DQ'd from there. So yep, we'll take our slap on the hand. We'll move on with our days, and
yeah, that 49 team is pretty high and tight. So I wouldn't expect that to be a reoccurring thing.
correct. And the only reason we throw it in there is because it's, I guess, surprising.
That
I
and
mean,
he
like you said, that
just
crew's
got
high.
points. Yeah, he
Yeah,
just took the points lead as well for Lucas Oil.
well,
yeah.
did until that happened.
Correct. Yep.
But yeah, like you said, that team is high and tight. What they got a professional operation, and I feel like this is the first time in a long time, and maybe yeah, that he's been in the news for technical infraction. So happens to everybody, honestly, and wasn't intentional or malicious. So show goes on. Um, so, anyways, let's stick on the dirt and let's head over to the BC 39 at the Indy Dirt Track. And I know our tire changer here was raving about it off air before we started the episode, and I didn't get to watch a ton of it, so I will kick it to you and let you start this discussion off.
I think the best way that we could talk about the BC 39 is that the IMS dirt track just never disappoints.
No.
I mean, they put on two absolute barn burners of races. Um, Starting out with Tuesday, it was a rough track. There were a lot of ruts in the track that kind of screwed some guys up. Wednesday was a lot smoother, but again, they both put on hell of races in their own right. Um, both of them were slider cities essentially. Um, Jason Persley and Cale Drake were all fighting for the lead for several laps. And I mean, this you're talking about 5, 7, 10 lap exchanges of just sliding each other through the throughout the race, and doing it fairly clean too. They slide in, hit the cushion, bounce off, undercut each other, and they never really touched up until towards the end, and that's when it got a little chaotic. But um, at one point in time, uh, Grant and Persley kind of touched each other up on Tuesday night. Cale Drake got a 2-for-1 coming out of 4 and then spun himself around in 1, which took out Persley himself. I know Logan Seavey piled into it, but it took out a ton of guys. That ultimately let Grant win on Tuesday night. And then Wednesday night, getting into the main event, it had a lot to live up to compared to Tuesday, but damn, it was that a good one too. Grant started up front with Jacob Denny, where Denny had a few opportunities to slide them. Then again, they just kept sliding each other back and forth. They did come together. They saw kind of wheel slammed a little bit, went on their own, no issues. Grant did end up climbing tires at one point in time and broke a couple suspension pieces. I know he had a flat tire, and then he had the Nerf bar rubbing up against the left rear tire as well. So I kind of ruined his day. But I think the story on this one too is Cannon McIntosh. Rough Wednesday. He flipped in his heat race. Ended up having to get his way in through, I believe, a B main. Started 19th and just kept picking his way with the cautions and the chaos that was ensuing, and ends up taking advantage of Denny and Grant just having an absolute battle, and gets his way up to the front and gets his second BC 39. Um, just again, that track does not disappoint. 39 laps go pretty quick, even with the midget car there. It's putting up a very good argument to be a very good crown jewel race like the Chili Bowl.
Yep.
And I know I sent you guys a couple of the videos as far as what was some of the highlights of that race. And I'm telling you, if you didn't watch it, you're missing out. I mean, that was as good as racing gets. God, I'm good. forget his name, but he's the main announcer for USAC. He threw a comment out of, "This is worth more than the price of admission. I would pay for a ticket, leave, pay for another ticket, and I'd still get my money's worth."
Perfect. That's what everyone wants to see, anyways.
So that was so good. Or it was
I
like,
think
I'm trying to remember the race too, but the one race where um somebody spun on the backstretch and there was a track worker who merely popped out a cigarette. It might have been a Lucas race.
Yep. You
And
need a
I mean, it
smoke
was the
break
same,
after.
yeah, smoke break. Just like, I need a cool down after that one. I mean, it's the same idea. I mean,
Yep.
it's just absolute amazing racing, and for the most part, fairly clean. No, there were no hurt feelings, just good, hard racing.
Yep. Yeah, I got to watch a little bit on Wednesday night, I believe. And it
Wednesday
was,
night was the main event night.
yep, and it was solid.
So, I mean, you could put either of those races up for a race of the year contender, and honestly, they'd put up a good fight
Yep.
if you had to pick one of the two. It's just so good.
Yep.
I think, like you said, the Sven continues to put on good shows like this. This is going to be Chili Bowl is going to be 1A crown jewel, and this is going to be your summertime 1B.
Mm-hmm.
That this event's going to continue to grow, and more guys are going to keep showing up, and this is going to be continue to become a bigger event. So, um, yeah, and I didn't get to see it, but these races like this are, and you see it at Chili Bowl. Who does the old alphabet soup? Cannon McIntosh from 19th, I think you said. Like,
Yep.
that's what makes these races a ton of fun. And these little guys, little midgets sliding back and forth. Nobody's ever out of it.
No.
And like you said, you get up on top of somebody's wheels, somebody's brakes, and then all of a sudden it's like find yourself right up front, run for a win. And so, yeah, it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna continue to grow, and that'll be a crown jewel here in the near future. So,
If it isn't already.
if it isn't already,
Yep.
so you see us a little bit distracted. I know because I see we're all looking sideways. um, Slinger has the prelude to the Nationals here for the Truck Series going on. So we all got that fired up, and we got vehicles on track. So um, we're gonna try our best to stay on task, but we might catch a couple strays here, comments of us getting a little bit sidetracked. So um, let's move on here and talk about racing in a city and what was its, I believe its final contracted year, or its future is
Yeah.
uncertain. Its future is uncertain. But we were racing through the Windy City NASCAR street race at Chicago. And yeah, I've been on a hiatus with the NASCAR here since we love beat bopping around all these different streaming services. And yeah, I'll just come out here and say I love watching the race through Twitter highlights. So um,
I just realized that I have access to it with 8 laps to go. So
and I
you
just
probably
love,
as much as I did.
yeah, and I just love getting the tweets from Van Groen. It's like, oh, we got 12 guys piled up. Don't know where they're at in the race, but I guess I get to follow along on the NASCAR app. Check
Hey, listen to the
fantasy.
radio call. It's free on the NASCAR app.
True. Um, just pisses me off because I can't watch it. So I'll just kick it here to start. I know Tire Changer, I got to watch a good share of it. But first starting off here, which had to know he was going to be a contender, McDowell gets the lead early and shows um, a little bit of a chink in the armor there for SVG. And then wasn't shortly after here, Hocevar. Boy, oh boy, you talk about quote unquote the big one. and a track that is not very wide.
Yep.
Wow, that was
Yeah, and it was just he undercut turn 3, turn 5. I don't remember. Either way, he undercut
just
one of the right hands a little bit.
undercuts the right hand a little bit, grazes the wall, and it sends you immediately left, and then he bangs the left wall, and then
Breaks a toe link and control arm and this, that, and the other, and just
dude, and just see the Brad K on board just hammer down right through there.
well,
Hey, let's go back a little bit. So we talked about it last week. That in-season tournament took another
oh,
a shot in the
it's
short.
it does, like everybody says it's not on their mind during the race, but they're sure doing a terrible job of making it seem like it's not.
Let's talk about Bowman and Bubba late in the race, roughing each other up fairly hard. Like you got legacy cars going head to head next week.
Oh, you got Ty Dillon going another round.
32 seed, man, is just ripping around this tournament. Like,
Hey, you don't have to beat them. You don't have to beat them. You just got to survive the attrition.
correct. And they talked about it during the race when Bubba and Bowman got next to each other. They're racing for $1 million, and they were talking about it, and the boys raced hard.
Now, to that point, how much is yes, you're racing for $1 million in the season, but ultimately, you got the big picture deal going on here too.
Yep.
For two guys that don't have wins.
Yep. And Bowman was on much fresher tires as well.
Yep.
So he kind of had to go, but I mean, they did a good job making it seem like that hard racing was for that $1 million in the bracket.
Oh,
I'll give them credit on that. I
it's
mean,
just
ultimately, what it comes down to is SVG just, as they said in the broadcast, you might as well buy some real estate in Chicago because he's got the keys to the place right now.
when he is dialed in on a road course, he's an absolute menace to society.
Dude's got 2 wins on the year. Like he's got more wins than Bowman.
2 dominating wins at that.
He's got more wins than a Chase Elliott.
Guys, can we just put a pin in the conversation briefly? Is he legitimately fifth in the points?
Who?
Jizzy?
Playoff points, yes, because of 2 wins.
Uh-huh. And he's got a shot to win again next week when we go to Sonoma.
And then when we go to Watkins Glen. I mean,
dude could legitimately win 4 races in the year.
So
that's
I
before
think
the
this
playoffs.
is
Yeah.
I think we'll get into this here in the news section shortly thereafter, but you want to talk about a guy doing what he was hired to do.
I said it last week.
I saw a tweet today and I didn't really think about it much until now, but like we have to think that Trackhouse has found the cheat code to the money side of this because they've hired him and they've now won 2 races and gotten him into the playoff. The money part of that, you might as well go find somebody that can, I don't know where you're going to find them, but could beat him on a road course somewhere to win a race to get in the playoffs.
Well, and the other thing too is that, and you saw Colleague do it today too with Will Brown. Okay, if even then you're looking at the owner's points side of things. That's ultimately that's where the money's coming from.
Yeah.
Is the owner's point side of it. And it only comes up when you get, like Chase Elliott, when he gets suspended or he got hurt and drivers aren't, that the car still made it in the playoffs, but the driver didn't, whatever the case may be. Okay, let's just say, all right, Collie brings in Will Brown, pulls off a miraculous thing like Trackhouse did a couple years ago with SVG. Say, okay, this is going to be a full-time running car for us, an all-star car. We win a race. We're in the owner's playoff with it. That's where your money comes from being in the top 16.
Yep.
Just, simple one-off. You want to talk about if a guy doesn't win, oh, hey, at least we had a good run. You got a little bit of experience, got some partnerships out of it, sponsors, whatnot. But if you win, you want to talk about a huge payoff on your investment.
Of course.
I think, as
They
some
might have,
would say in the financial world, that is a low risk, high reward.
yeah, they cracked the cheat code on it.
And
They've just found the guy that can do it, unfortunately. Like,
Well,
he's
fortunately
got
for
a,
them, unfortunately for everybody else that's trying to win on a road course.
well, yeah, he just made it 10 times harder on everyone else because you can pretty much, if he doesn't wreck, you can put that car in the top 5 somewhere.
And
We'll
and
see.
they and they mentioned this in the broadcast. And again, I wish you guys were to listen to this, but they asked Junior at one point thing, they said, okay, what is it with SVG? Is it that he's got fresh tires? Is it just his racing experience? Is it um what was the other factor? There was another factor in there too, but Junior was like, if you get SVG fresh tires, he'll beat anybody, even if they're on the same tires. So it's just his skill alone on a road course.
Yep. And ultimately, let's take a glance at this quick because we had talked about the playoff bubble shifting. I don't really think
That's
that
the other
this,
thing too. We were talking about that. What was it last week? Hey, who are we worried about if we get 16 winners? SVG's on the bottom of that. He's in.
so that you could pretty much say Reddick is locked in. He's 143 to the good if we don't have 16 winners. But
Yep.
it just shifted that bubble down a little bit. Now Bubba's 2 to the good, Priest is 2 to the bad.
Yep.
18th at Allmendinger's 43 to the bad. So like there's a pretty big point discrepancy there. Um
and
that
Dinger's he's gonna be another one that you want to talk about. I mean, 1A is Jizzy on a road course, but I mean, Dinger, you could throw him as 1B.
is Ty Gibbs a road course ringer?
He's not bad.
Well,
Look at
did you see his
McDowell.
comment? Did you see his comment
No.
Saturday? He wants to throw out the second Atlanta and go to another road course. Circle of the Americas again, another street race.
Well,
Yeah.
look at McDowell too.
Yeah.
If he had stayed in that race, what could he have done? So,
I
like, you
don't
want
know.
to talk about really throwing a wrench in that? If McDowell wins it from 24th currently in the points.
I mean, for right now, the way this is shaking up, the best thing that could happen for Priest to get in is that Reddick locks himself in. It shifts the point margin down further.
No,
SV,
it would still stay the same.
well, SVG just won and he jumped to 5th and got Priest closer to the bubble.
No, because there wasn't a new winner.
Oh, I guess yeah. Never
Yeah.
mind. Never mind. Sorry, I don't
But
know why I was
but for
thinking this.
Priest, he's actually probably going to be thanking Bowman a little bit, because with Wallace having as bad a day as he did, or at least he was
Oh yeah,
having a decent day up until that wreck, that shortened the gap a little bit, which Priest on a road course, he wasn't too shabby.
yes. Plus,
Continuing to add to the I'm worth the money conversation.
correct.
So I just yeah, SVG is obviously unbelievable. One thing I got to point out, well, there are two things, but I'm going to point this first one out here. The officiating. There were two instances today where officiating wasn't very great, and they got themselves in the conversation again after a few weeks off, which was fantastic, honestly.
Yep.
Barry hit the wall, sat on the track literally for a lap and a half. Teams were taking advantage of it by being able to pit before they threw a caution. I mean, guys
Yep.
literally sitting backwards, facing traffic as it takes the turn. And then the Cody Ware incident at the end of the race that ultimately got SVG the win.
Yeah, he hit the wall going 93 miles an hour, and they waited 34 seconds to throw the caution.
Now, NASCAR did come out and say that they did not see where it actually hit the wall. They just saw him in the wall and thought that he could back himself out. Which, yep, you've got that grin on your face of not a good look. You've got officials all around the track. What's to say an official comes in and says he hit that wall really hard?
He needed help when he got hit.
Yep.
On the radio said he needed help. But let's let it run for another 34 seconds. The funny part was I was listening to Gibbs radio at the time, and they go, "Well, you got to take the checkers," and he goes, "Tell the 88 to pit." But
It's just, and why, if this is an issue on road racing, on a road course, why can't we have officials around the track that are help making the call? Don't leave it just to the tower. In that instance, yes. Hey, Ware hit the wall really hard here. I think we should throw the caution.
yep,
Plain and simple.
yeah. It's not like he just locked him up and slid in there. The dude hit the wall going 93 miles
Ooh,
an
a
hour.
rotor. Just,
Yeah, that was bad.
man. So,
You can't miss them that obvious.
yeah. Other point I want to bring up, and I'm gonna bash a little bit here. Austin Dillon. Obviously, he was caught up in that Hocevar wreck and said
Yep.
that Hocevar has got to be the biggest idiot that the sport has got. And you just kind of chuckle a little bit. I mean, guy literally wrecked two guys to win a race.
It's pot calling
Yeah.
the kettle black.
Exactly. Look
Bingo.
in the mirror lately.
Yeah.
Just, man. Now, is Hocevar doing good things for himself right now? No, he's been on a pretty rough stretch as of late. But Dillon doesn't have a whole hell of a lot of room to talk either.
The other thing about today is I don't necessarily know that he really had any control of how that was going to go once that tow link broke.
Oh, 100%. Like Junior said, that thing feels like a forklift in the back and it just spins from the rear.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
Whatever.
just with how tight it was and where they're at, there's no way you're getting around,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
there's nothing you can do about it.
Yep. So, I'm gonna pull a cam here and I'm gonna ask a question. And I want you guys' thoughts. Obviously, Cam had mentioned earlier that this is supposedly, or rumor is that this was the last year on the contract. And there's been no talks about whether they're going to go back or not. There's also been a lot of talks about Chicagoland looking pretty good as of recent. Stay at Chicago street course, go to Chicagoland, go to a different road course. What are you thinking with this date that we got?
I'm too old school. Go away from it. I don't know.
Let's just roll Chicagoland.
Are you guys opposed to a road course as a whole, or just want to get out of the streets of Chicago?
A little bit of both. We have so many road courses. Like, I don't know that we need to be sticking more road courses in there, though.
Yep.
Like, if we're going to be the NASCAR Association of Road Course Racing, let's pick every road course on earth and go run them. Like,
And I hate to be this guy, and I don't know, maybe the payoff is just, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe NASCAR is coming out way ahead on this deal with new fans, this, that, and the other thing. I don't know. But I just don't know that we need to be spending this kind of money to do a street race. If you're looking for more road course racing, gee, we got one in Wisconsin that took away from us.
My man.
yeah.
My man.
If you want to do road course racing, we've got plenty of good road course facilities across the country that will
Purpose built.
purpose that is built for that purpose, and they will gladly host you, and they will gladly take the event and do it, whatever,
Yep.
to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
As opposed to, I guess, we're sticking millions on millions of dollars into the street race. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't watch the race today because I don't have TNT, but the last 2 years, it's just, I don't know. It's a narrow track. There is passing here and there, but I don't know. It's fun
Something
as
that
hell
we
it was fun as hell to experience it the first year when I actually went to it. It was fun as hell, but I guess I can't sit here and justify saying we should keep doing street races.
I
I
think
just
something that we're forgetting about too is that I think this was the first year. I know this is the first year that was a dry race. We had no rain.
Yep.
But I believe this was also the first race that we actually ran the full length.
Correct. Last year's was cut short.
And I know the first year was as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Yes, I would love to come back to Road America. Now that's a 4 mile road course you're talking about here. So you want to talk about getting spread out.
Yep.
Um, there's been a lot of discussion about the Roval and whether we should be going there or not. Maybe we drop the Roval, move the Chicago race to a different road course, so we'd lose a road course race, keep the date essentially,
Yeah.
and do it that way. I don't know, but you also don't want to go back to the situation where we were oversaturated with 1.5 mile tracks, and then that become stagnant as it was.
Right.
So
I don't know.
I go either way with it either, too.
Whatever.
time is going to tell.
Yep.
But ultimately, wrapping this conversation up here, Shane Van Gisbergen sweeps the weekend and wins both Chicago street races. Ty Gibbs from the pole. Ty Gibbs finishes second, Tyler Reddick third, Denny Hamlin fourth, Kyle Busch fifth. Got to be the first time all year he's in the top 10. AJ Allmendinger sixth, Ryan Preece seventh, Alex Bowman eighth, Austin Hill in the RCR 33 ninth, and the Watermelon Man Chastain rounds out your top 10. So, yeah, that is was the Chicago Street Race weekend for you. To be determined on future of street racing. So that'll be a wait and see. And yeah, overall solid weekend. And last shout out there, how about Ty Dillon on the Ty Dillon's making that Cinderella story run here.
I didn't look, but who is he up against this week?
Bowman.
Is it Bowman? Oh boy.
Yeah. 32-8.
Well, I'll just give you the matchups quick. Just go on the app and I'll tell you.
I got it. It's Ty Dillon versus Alex Bowman, 32-8. It is the legacy matchup. 12 Nemechek versus 20 Jones. Top right is the 60 of Preece versus Reddick. That's a 15-23. And then the bottom right is Ty Gibbs versus Zane Smith, which is a 6-14.
I think your two matchups going to next week are your Legacy Motor Club picks.
Yep.
And honestly, I think the most intriguing one as far as a good race, Preece and Reddick.
Yep. I'd agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, that story will continue as we got that in-season tournament continues, and can say for sure, money for whoever wins that. Looking at the drivers that are left is going to be huge. Looking at the drivers that are left, winning that $1 million is going to be a big deal for the guys that are left in that. So, yeah, it's actually, I was kind of dismissing it too, but now with the guys we have left, now it's like, all right, this is actually going to be kind of entertaining. Zane Smith and Ty Gibbs racing for $1 million. The Legacy Boys. Then you got Paulig, 32 seed coming in there. Yeah, kind of
It's a
interesting.
hell of a
So
group of races to pull this off with, though.
for real.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyways, let's keep on rolling here. Let's get into some news from on top of the pit box here. Kind of some interesting news this past week here, and I don't know where you guys want to start.
I'll take the
Uh,
last two.
Okay. I'll take the first three.
I will take the second three then.
RFK Racing, Steve Newmark leaves the organization. He's set to join the University of North Carolina as an executive associate athletic director, and then he will transition into the role of athletic director come the summer of 2026. So he stepped out and he's headed to college athletics. So interesting to see how that shakes out. Talking a little bit of dirt racing news for my last two bullet points here. Wild West Shootout will move back to Central Arizona. So they were at Vado. Obviously, we've talked a fair amount about that and how great the racing was. So they're going to move back to what was the inception of the Wild West Shootout. The dates for that, January 10th to the 18th. Being Central Arizona was the original track for that. When it was born in 2001, it started as the Early Thaw series. So venue change for the Wild West Shootout come January. And then the last one, I think we were all excited to see this come out. FS1 and Flow Racing will co-broadcast High Limits, $100,000 to win Joker jackpot at Eldora on July 17th. And this will be the first nationally broadcast sprint car race since the World of Outlaws on CBS during COVID. So, getting a national audience on a big paying sprint car race.
Flow Racing and High Limit kind of getting at it, saying, look at us go to the World Racing Group.
Yep. Oh, yeah. For sure.
We're willing to share.
Yep.
For real. Oh,
Yeah.
shoot. Sorry, I just tried to click on my news tab and went off. I'll jump in here, take these next three. This is, I guess, the writing we feel like has kind of been on the wall. We've touched on it, and then it finally becomes official here. Daniel Suarez and Trackhouse have mutually parted ways, and it's been an interesting week here. I can't blame Suarez for what he's doing, but he's
Point out real quick, end of 25.
end of 25. Yeah, sorry, he's going to finish out the year. And Suarez is definitely airing out his dirty laundry here. And his first weekend after this news popped, which can't blame him. He might as well. And he just said he's felt like he hasn't been heard. Changes he's suggested, or whatever. He just feel like he doesn't have a voice in the team. I think he said the same was with Swiderski, his crew chief, when he came over. Had a similar feeling, and just doesn't feel like they're being heard. And yeah, I can't say we're super surprised, but I will say, I guess we're more so surprised at the things that he's saying and the way he was felt or treated. I'm sure Trackhouse has their opinion, but that's not a good look for Trackhouse right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not quite the Stuart Haas Racing point yet, but I mean,
We're near
You're
that.
similar.
I would say this might even top it, to be honest with you. I guess maybe, I don't know. They're neck and neck. They're both pretty bad, I would say.
Yep.
So, and honestly, I said this, it's good for him that he's sharing his point of view. And not only that, but it also puts his name on the market here, early, and whatever ride he could be looking at, here's your first free agent, so to speak, which now leads other teams to might speed up their process of evaluating who they have behind seats, and could be Cup Xfinity. We don't know. But yeah, he is the first one that's on the market, so to speak. and a big name. So that is an interesting story that we're going to follow. I feel like we got an idea of who's going to replace him, but we will save that for another day. Next one here, LeVar Scott is going to make his Xfinity debut at Dover for Alpha Prime Racing, and he will also race worldwide technology raceway. So LeVar Scott getting some Xfinity action. And then lastly here, Zach Staley has been suspended from Bowman Gray for the remainder of his season. His son Kyler is suspended 3 weeks as well for actions detrimental to stock car racing. So little father-son duo taking a vacation together.
Wow.
Yep.
Final 2 points here. This is kind of the follow-up from the releases of multiple officials, including Tim Cindric, from the Team Penske organization after the Indy 500 qualifying. Team Penske announced that Jonathan Duguid and Travis Law will be the president and competition director of Penske Racing, respectively. And then Michael Nelson and Travis Geisler will continue as NASCAR president and vice president of competition, respectively, as well. So their positions have been filled that were open over at the Team Penske organization.
Yep.
Moving on forward. Cool.
Absolutely.
That is from what I recall here. All the news we had here. Little last chance race rolling now at Slinger right now for the trucks. Oh,
there's the distracted part.
Yep. So I just given a quick glance there. James Lynch, Bolts, Refner, all in the last chance race. So
Yeah, those were all heat winners.
Kirchner, Kane.
Heat winners, by the way.
Yeah.
anyways, that's the distraction. Well, let's get on to the next portion of this, which is usually a fairly lengthy topic, but I think I think I know which way we're going to lean here. But we got the Wheelman of the Week we got to give out, and let's hop in here and discuss. So, I'll let you take the first one. I'll take the second one. Tire change, you can take the third one.
Yep. The aforementioned SVG sweeps the weekend, both poles and race wins at Chicago.
I am hopping in here. Touched on it earlier. Ken McIntosh goes nuclear and drives it from the back to the front. Goes 19 to first to win his second BC 39.
Little shout out here as well. Then Carson Garrett gets his first career USAC sprint car win this weekend. I believe that would have been at Lincoln Park, if I remember correctly. But first career win for him.
Yep.
So
Somebody cast their first vote.
Yep. SVG.
It's busy season.
I mean, I was gonna go McIntosh, but SVG is a very, very noteworthy as well. So looks like SVG it is.
All right.
First time winner.
First time winner.
Yes, sir.
First international winner.
Yep.
Well, yeah.
Technically, yeah.
Technically.
What do you mean technically?
No, it is true. Yes, it is the first. No, we have Cole Butcher from the land of the Canucks.
Shoot. Yep.
Yep. Dang it.
So,
all right.
Well,
we could say the first one from really across the pond.
Yep.
Down under.
Yep.
All right. Let's congratulations, Shane Van Gisbergen. If you see this, we'd love to have you on. talk some shop on your road course racing and get to know you a little bit more. So, Shane is your winner. Let's get into a little preview here, and we're not going to do it right away, but we will do it a little bit later on here. Let's talk a little bit of the Slinger Nationals here. Massive race for us in the great state of Wisconsin. We'll have some boots on the ground at the track. I guess I'll kick it to you guys. What do you want to start with? Where do you want to start with the Slinger Nationals?
Being on floor racing to start with.
Yes.
For real. Damn, saved myself $50 this year.
Just
No.
being on flow, I think, is a big thing. If you don't have flow, you now get the Slinger Nationals and the Snowball Derby. So that's where I'm going to start. That's my first quick. Yep, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I mean, 35 cars on the entry list as well here. I think we've talked in the past that we were a little worried about what kind of national guys we were going to get. And obviously you kind of compare that to the national tour of ASA. Obviously, this is a very heavily Midwest entry list, but you still get your couple of guys in there. Nick Neary from Florida. Derek Thorne's coming back up running the Paulie Schaefer car. Bubba Pollard's on the entry list. To be determined if he actually shows up or not, but we'll tackle that as we get there. Steve Dewar is coming up as well. But even then, even with the lack of national star power that there is, you got a hell of a star power of the Midwest coming in, and it's pretty much a who's who of that as well. So needless to say, it's still going to be a hell of a field, and it's going to be a tough field to get into the feature as well.
Oh, for sure. And that's where, especially at this place, qualifying and track position is going to be everything.
Yep.
You got to have yourself in the catbird seat to be able to give yourself a chance. And things happen very quickly, as they would say. It's like flying fighter jets in a gym. When they wreck, you don't really have a chance to help yourself out, unfortunately.
Yeah,
So,
and I don't know, Kellen, I know you got to see it, Cam. I'm not 100% sure if you got to see the Slinger race at all. But the Stars National Tour. But I mean, obviously you saw a lot of cars get piled up from that one as well. So, I mean, for those that did get to see the Nationals race or the Stars National at that, I mean, be prepared, essentially. Now, again, you got a lot of Midwest guys that have run a lot of races here and they know how to run it. So it could be a slightly different race, but nonetheless, you're losing 100 laps at that too. It's a 200 lap race instead of a 300 lap race.
yep. Yeah, when they click them off at 12 seconds at a time.
Yep. And there's only the one guaranteed break.
Yep.
At the halfway mark. So talk about needing to be dialed in when you first roll out on the track too.
Yep. And, I think like when you look at this event, the other part that I am glad to see when you talk about it, right, is like when we talk about entry lists for races up here, right? Like it's good to see a lot of bigger names around here back on the list, just going down the list and the Joe Shear was a big event at the beginning of the year. I would say you could argue this entry list is better than the Shear.
Yep.
They're very close. They're very competitive. They're all but when you look at the list of guys that are coming to run this one, it's good to see some guys who haven't run the Nationals in the last year or two come back to run this. When you talk a Jeff Storm, Michael Bilderback,
Ryan Farrell.
Yep. You just have some guys that they're going to have a shot to get themselves into the show and could very well make some noise once they get into the show too. So I think the other part of that conversation becomes is how tough the actual weekly racing is there and how good the weekly guys are. When you look at it, Apel and Prunty and Griesbach and the guys that run their weekly, they're going to have a shot at it too.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you have your national tour guys and you have your bigger teams, but at the end of the day, the weekly guys are going to have a hell of a crack at this whole deal too.
just
And
some of the
I think this is the fun part again. We always touch on this, some of these, you know, whether it's a bigger series coming to the track for a first time or, just coming to changing it up and going to a different track. This is this is a these events are fun because again, it gives a weekly guy that maybe can't, you know, they can't do a national tour, they can't, whatever. But these are the fun events where it's gonna be like just kind of talking about it with the in-season challenge. Are we gonna have a Cinderella story? You know,
yeah.
a weekly guy that comes and says, "All right, you guys want to come to my backyard? I'll show you how to get around this place." So, um, it's always fun when you have a big race like this and you got a bunch of weekly guys coming back and gonna. I don't want to say try their hand at winning it because they're going to be competitive, but just creates just a fun opportunity and an environment for somebody like that that's going to smack a lap down in qualifying that you're like, holy shit, did not see that coming. So looking forward to that.
One thing too is that this race has been known to make careers out of drivers as well. And I think two of them that come to mind right away, one of them that's been really journalized and talked about this week leading up to it is Mark Martin, obviously a multi-time winner of the event, and what Slinger Nationals and just racing the Midwest in general has done for him. But I think the most recent example I threw out there was Luke Fenhaus. Obviously, that got him the SRX start, that got him out there, and who's to say that maybe that helped him get his opportunity in the Truck Series and a little in some ARCA racing as well. Um, so running a race like this for a local guy or a Sommers or even a Penn Sauter, some of these other guys, Derek Kraus too. It gets them the exposure and gives them the chance of, hey, I just beat some of the best that we've got here, including some guys that traveled in. I could drive a race car. With that too, Slinger Speedway obviously came out with their entry list. Here's the stats that they threw out for this. There are 7 former or current NASCAR drivers in it, 7 Slinger track champions. There are 7 former finalists or champs of the Quickie Development Driver Program, 6 first time racers in this, 6 former nationals winners, and they're coming from 5 different states.
Yep.
And again, it's just the way that this track runs and the stiffness of the competition and I would say strength of field of this. You want to talk about not being able to sandbag a time.
New. So let me look at when you say strength of field.
Super late model rankings.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna just pull up that website quick and let me tell you. Well, I know the number one ranked rolling super late model driver will be in the field in Casey Johnson.
Well, I've got the rankings right here too. So I mean, of the top 10, 1, 2, 3, 3 for sure are from
Yep.
the top 10.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big one. I don't know. We don't have the national presence I think we hope we would have, but it's
And
also good to see the Wisconsin super late model scene bigger for this one again.
we get the stage to our own almost. And especially with this being the first year on Flow Racing, which I think just with it being on Flow is going to open it up to a lot bigger audience to start
Yep.
with. It gets everybody that exposure.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I know, I'm sure there was a time, I think there's a couple of years ago where we had north of 50 entries, correct?
If not right around it.
Um, and so we've seen that, but we've also seen the flip side of that. Last year, what was there? 26,
25,
28?
26, yeah.
Well, we started the whole field. Let's just put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it's easy to get greedy, but I feel like, hey, here's another, it's a Wisconsin heavy, Midwest heavy race, but let's go on. Let's with the Sun Flow Racing. Let's show everybody what we got. I feel like
And
it's just good.
let's send some guys home. You don't
Yep.
want to, but like, you have fields that when you show up, a national tour race, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're entered, you have 21 cars, you're going to start all 21 cars. For this, we've gotten back to the point where that qualifying and last chance sessions are going to mean everything. Where last year, yes, we didn't know they were going to start everybody, so you're racing for starting position is ultimately what it came down to.
We're back in the days where a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, where Kraus got the promoters provisional. And
Yep.
so my whole point with all that was, hey, it's not where we want to be, but like you said, Kellen, this is a good step in the right direction. 35 cars, let's send some guys home. Everybody knows the Midwest racing. Midwest is best. We're not going to, outside of a fluke thing, you're not going to smash a ton of stuff up. Let's send some cars home, put this on a national audience, and it's a step in the right direction, I feel like. For the last few years, I feel like the car count's been going the wrong direction. Hopefully last year was the bottom, and now we can start going like this. So, yeah, I feel like it's just a good step in the right direction. And like I said, let's don't always want to do it, but hey, let's show how competitive this is. And back in, just a few years ago, we talk about how difficult qualifying is and what the spread is between the car qualifies on the pole and a car goes home, is not much. So I feel like we're trending back towards that direction, which is a good sign.
Real quick, few points I want to make out here real quick. One, obviously this is new ownership as well with Travis and Kelsey Dasso now owning the track. So it's now just, I don't think it's going to see much difference, but what can they do to just make this event great again? Two, you're bringing Ricky Brooks to be your tech inspection or your tech director, essentially.
Yep.
And obviously three with that, obviously Ricky Brooks is a UARA guy, but this is still a Slinger Speedway rules race.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
I think it's one of the big parts there too.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. It's a whole day affair. Well,
Oh,
for us it is. It's a whole
yeah.
day affair.
But we'll get to roam the pits, chat with a few guys, see what's going on, get the scope of the land, and no, I think I got a feeling we're gonna thoroughly enjoy this event.
Yep. Just want it to feel big again. You know?
Yep.
Well, any other final thoughts on the Slinger Nationals?
Nope. I'm excited. Ready to be back.
Then let's roll into, I hate to do this little fool you, but we're gonna roll into some race picks right away here. Let's just get the monotonous part over. Let's get the NASCAR picks out there, then let's get into some Slinger, because that is going to be, I feel like, a good discussion here. And we had a little discussion off air before we started the episode, and we'll explain that to you. Moral of the story, I got screwed, which is why I was vouching for not doing the picking method that we were doing. But it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish. So excited nonetheless. So we had a pretty solid picking order, or picking race picks last week for Chicago. I picked SVG, Fire Changer picked Gibbs, and Kellen picked Reddick. So pretty shitty when you pick the third place finishing car and you get third place. So Jackman, floor is yours, man. NASCAR, it's normal. Who are you going with?
Gibbs.
Oh, you're gonna leave them open for me. Give me SVG.
Yep.
Give me on money. Let's go Kyle Larson.
Not a bad pick, honestly. I like it.
Going back to California, he's going to put a show on.
He wants to get a bottle of wine for the wife.
Yep. He's going back to back too. For this event last year.
Classic.
All right. Let's get to part of this episode that was going to be a little bit more fun here for us. Let's get into some Slinger race picks. Moral of the story here. Just tell you how it happened. We did a little wheel and had a spinning wheel that had name, and then you spun the wheel for what number you got. We're gonna do two picks. I don't know what well, I'm numbers 5 and 6. So I get the last two picks. Kellen is picks 1 and 2, and Tire Changers picks 3 and 4. I am coincidentally leading the rolling race pick standings, so no surprise here. I got shafted, but and of course, right before pressed record, we're deciding how we're going to do this, and I was vouching not to do this. Let's just roll with the regular snake draft, 1 to 3, 3 to 1. I'm like, no, let's do this, and of course, those two decided to do it, and I got shafted. So we got a little bit of collusion on the podcast right now, but it's all right. It's not about where you start; it's where you finish. So Kellen gets race picks 1 and 2, and for we press record, he was telling us about all this research he had done, paralysis by analysis. So, Kellen, if you don't make up some points this week, both races, you got first pick. Floor is yours. Yep. Give us your first two picks.
Real quick, just want to confirm, Majeski is off the board, correct? Have we fully decided on that?
Somebody put in parentheses no Majeski, so
I said okay. Just because this is still a local race, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't change what I was going to do, but
okay.
No, throw him in there.
You ready?
Throw him in there.
You want him in there?
I think we throw him in there. Butcher tossed his salad a couple weeks ago.
All right, fine. You want to play that game? Let's play that game.
Partially because I want to put Kellen in the spin zone. Now he's
thinking about it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, now we got bigger issues.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
What do you got?
Round 1, pick 1, Andrew Morrissey.
Hopefully you can clear the tech shed this year.
Okay.
Round 1, pick 2, Derek Kraus.
Well, you're going to leave the hanging fruit for me. Give me Majeski.
Yeah, you picked him the last time and you didn't finish, so go ahead.
Yeah. Boy, I'm stuck between two guys here.
Just take Bickle. He's right there for you.
I'm going to take a chance on this one. Give me Steve Apel.
Not a bad pick, honestly.
Wait, you did pick Majeski?
I took Majeski and Apel.
Steve Apel.
All right. Well, let's run it back here. Local boy just up the road, and he's solid here. Last time I picked him, he wrecked his shit, but we're back and better than ever. Give me Fenhouse.
Okay.
And I love him because he's bad fast, but he never can keep the wheels under it. Sauter would be fun to pick, but I'm not trying to do that. That's like
there's two of them now. Gotta remember that.
Yeah, it's Johnny. Well, they're coming from the same shed, so they're always bad fast, but they're always breaking their rear axles because he got so much. So I'll steer clear both of them. Got it down to 2 here.
There's a guy at the bottom of the list here, if we're looking at the same list, that honestly, he ran good for the national race here. Obviously, he's going to be a different car, but he's always run decent. That old number 7 at Derek Thorne. I'll feed you if you want it.
Yeah, I feel like he's always in top 5 at this race. Give me Casey Johnson.
Wow.
Colin, you might be able to help me out on this just because I've seen so many races and I forget more than I remember. Has Johnson run the Nationals before?
It's been a while. Let me look at his social media. It's been. I have a feeling. I think when they posted, I think they said their return to the Nationals.
And then one name that isn't on the list, I was going through the rankings, our top 10 rolling rankings, and one guy that wasn't on the list that I'm surprised, but not at the same time, Ty Fredrickson.
Yeah,
Slinger's not been nice to him though.
Yeah, that place has been rough on him.
And that might just be
yeah.
let's
They had
rest and recover a little bit.
They had a really rough go of it with the Midwest Tour race there 2 years ago.
It didn't do too hot with the ASA race there.
Yeah,
That might be a rest and recover race for them.
Yeah, they've also had a bad string of luck of having to put clips on cars too.
Yeah. Running the national race, he's got a ton of races on his schedule already.
Yeah, this is true.
So more power to him.
Oh, by the way, 5-star bodies. They're randomly awarding one driver a body during the autograph session. So somebody's going to get a free body out of this somehow.
Oh, one more thing we've got to mention about the Slinger Nationals in our preview. One, 20 grand to win, and there's lap money involved, which last year, taking into account if you led every lap, it was 50 grand in total.
Yeah.
So
we just got to pick whichever lap the 9 leads so we can funnel that right into the same place. But yeah, for sure.
One thing I was going to say too, we touched on it too, no NASCAR presence. A couple years ago, you had Byron, some of those guys.
Reese was up there.
Reese. Yep. Who was another one I was just thinking of?
Obviously, Kenseth when he was still running NASCAR.
And I was going to say that, but Legacy got him. They got him or what, that he can't come back and do this now that he's competition director.
Speaking of Jones, he's run it before.
That's what I was going to say.
A little added at the Nationals one year.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just thinking about that. But anyways, any other final thoughts?
See you at the racetrack on Tuesday. Get your tickets ahead of time. Reserve seating if it's not sold out already. I don't believe it is, but
you gotta buy them at the track, but you're at the whim of
Yeah.
So yeah, that wraps it up for episode number 91. We started the episode with it was for Ty Majeski and the Slinger Nationals, but since Tire Changer picked him to win it, this episode's no longer for him. So we covered a little bit of everything here. Talk a lot of dirt late models. Talk about NASCAR. Talked about BC Wild Weekend news, and yeah, it is going to be little Tuesday night action for us at the Slinger Nationals 46th rendition on the High Banks. If you can't be there, watch it, catch all the action live on Flow, and submit your race picks via the comments. And sorry, 6 drivers are off the board. So as always, don't be afraid to like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate everybody that listens. We have a ton of fun doing this. So if we don't see you at the racetrack on Tuesday, we'll catch you all next week for another episode of the Tuesday Track Talk.